welcome. Thank you for joining today. I'm looking forward to having a bit of a chat around all things payments. So welcome.
Hi Laura, thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure.
So the first thing I really wanted to kick off was to get your thoughts on why you think and what are the key reasons why digital payments are becoming so important across the globe today.
Well, there are many key reasons. I think looking back, recently to the pandemic, just 2-3 years ago, while in the middle of pandemic, people was in a really crazy situation, and in the commerce was really booming, strongly booming. This is, I think, one of the most important accelerator recently that pushed more the digital payments. And then the digital payments overall are strongly increased thanks to the pandemic, but thanks to many factors that recently are really increasing the use of digital payment. The question is, who is afraid about digital payments? Because the cashless society is a fact, and this is a secular trend that I think we cannot change or back anymore.
And you mentioned, you've seen, particularly off the back of COVID, quite a strong growth trajectory across the digital payment space. Do you see this looking to continue? How is that versus traditional payment methods? What do you think about that?
We notice, like a mix or some slightly change in terms, from digital payment, from cashless to digital payments, and then from digital payments pure and mostly dominating in the past from card rail with new, more compelling what we call digital payment, like buy now, pay later, digital wallet, and any very local specific kind of services that are not more traditional or most traditional based on cards. And this is a real sign of how the society is really changing the habit to use digital payments itself. It means cashless, the cash is not anymore the king, but adapting in a new, changing world, in a new changing trade, in a new changing e-commerce, even adapting and adding a new payment local scheme is really keen, to be successful in the payment landscape.
So Francesco, we talked a little bit about some of the benefits and the exciting opportunity that digital payment methods and e-commerce are bringing. What do you see are some of the challenges that perhaps our payment service provider partners, our merchants are looking to have to overcome within this market?
There are many challenges in the e-commerce and then in the trade, global trade, context. So basically, I think, and I'm really strongly convinced that one of the important things in which the PSP and payment providers should be, focus more and more the investment and the attention is how we can guarantee the most, riskless transaction for a consumer, because now they are really aware of what are the beneficial of using digital payments. They really won't be, they are more likely to use, but the more you use the digital pay, the more increase the risk, to have some fraud, chargeback. Then our challenge is to increase our ability to reduce the friction on checkout, even reduce as well, the risk of fraud for the consumer in the checkout phase.
So Francesco, I think one thing that you and I are both quite passionate about is diversity and inclusion, and I think one thing that ties into that across our industry is financial inclusion. So how do you see digital payment methods contributing to financial inclusion and creating greater accessibility?
Yeah, thank you, Laura. I love this question because I think then inclusion itself is really embedded in the payment and digital payment as well, because it's one of the key success factor to be more broadly able to serve globally customer, to guarantee inclusion everywhere you pay, for everyone you want to pay. So it's like a sort of challenge that has been quite well managed recently, but I think is one of the important one for the next phase of digital payments. How we can really support everyone everywhere to pay as they prefer, from Africa to Middle East, or to Europe, or to Latam. I think there are still strong need to investment to support inclusion in the financial services, but the trajectory is already, in a way, in a positive way. So we need just to focus on and then support the acceleration of inclusion in the financial service as well, in the everyday life.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I think that's where partnerships become really strong, working together as one whole to really create that level of inclusivity. So Francesco, one question that I'm finding really interesting is talking about innovation. How do you see partnerships being the level of importance that they are to drive innovation amongst the payment space?
Well, look at the last decades. Ultimately, we observing a strong growth, of tons and tons of fintech and new player around the traditional, traditional chain or traditional banking service payment in a more broader way. So I'm convinced that because there are tons of opportunity around us in terms of, as we can observe it now during Money 2020, of new value-added services, new kind of service that can really support and then increase our value chain or our ability to serve our merchant through compelling PSP services. I think partnership is the key to be successful, and even because not make sense anymore to invest money to create new service while you can leverage on what in the market there are many innovative services provided by all those fintechs.
Mm-hmm. And I know you and I have been working together for some time now, which has been a great partnership between PPRO and Nexi. So how do you see the partnership of PPRO and Nexi helping to advance the payment industry as a whole?
Well, first of all, it's a really great experience even from my side. Thank you, Laura. I think the most beneficial things about partnering with PPRO is the ability even for us to focus on what are for us the core payment system, while we can really be sure that we can leverage on a strong partner with as PPRO is to serve more and more changing habit, changing behavior, changing specific market characteristics in terms of APMs. So this is the value that I convince you as PPRO you can bring on the table, and then you can bring us an Nexi to accelerate our ability and our innovation far front to serve better and better our merchant across Europe.
Fantastic, great answer. I mean, I have to say that it's a pleasure working with you. I think we've got some great things to come. I think we've touched on some incredible topics today, innovation in payments, the challenges that need to be overcome, but how partnerships like us can really come together and help to overcome those. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Evany, for inviting me. Yes, of course, even from my side, I would say that PPRO and Nexi relationship is a great sign, and this conversation today is a great sign. We are going to move forward in our strengthen our relationship in the future. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you, Francesco. See you later.